Hey, how's it going, captains? Admiral Tori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, you are about to witness one of the greatest games I've played on World of Warships in a long time. I have played many games on World of Warships, only a few make it to the top most memorable games for me. And this game has really lived up to my expectation. Now, most people on average would think that a really good game or a game that is memorable is usually the damage or doing something crazy in the game. I'm going to let your imagination predict what this game is going to be like. I can certainly tell you that this game is all about trying to win the match. So, gotta let that sink in your head. Try, predict what I do to win this game. So first things first, I am playing on the map called Two Brothers, sailing the Tier 9 Premium American Battleship, the USS Missouri BB-63, one of the Iowa-class battleship, carrying 406mm guns, top speed of 33 knots, a formidable battleship, a very strong battleship. So far, I think the Missouri is my most strongest Tier 9, I guess high-tier battleship in general, because I don't really play any other Tier 10, Tier 8, Tier 9 battleship except the Missouri. Sometimes I do jump on the Amagi, sometimes I do jump on the Izumo, but so far my best ship is really the Missouri. Now I'm going to break the #1 rule in the high tiers and get myself, get called an idiot for doing this, because every time I do it I usually get called an idiot. I am going to push into the A flag. Normally, battleship players tend to sit behind or slow down or don't want to be the first one to be in the flag, but it is my duty that I strongly believe to support my destroyers. Now, if I'm going to support my destroyers, I expect something from my destroyers, and that is also to provide smoke and support for me. Because if they want these 406mm guns to help against those cruisers that are going to push into the capture zone and use radar or whatever the case it is, they're going to have to give me smoke or I'm going to get lit up, which is why people will call you idiot for playing a battleship and pushing into the capture zone. But what wins us the game is working together, pushing into the capture zone, capturing the flag, because this is a domination game, and Coin Commander is going to be the MVP of this game because he understands that if I'm going to push into the capture zone, which is very rare, like I said, you get called an idiot in the higher tiers if you push in with a battleship this early in the game especially, or this close into the zone. But he understands that I cannot do anything without cover, and he provides me the perfect smoke screen. You see that, destroyer players? Do you see this smoke screen? How often do you see a smoke screen like this? I rarely see these type of smoke screen. Actually, matter of fact, watch the enemy team. Watch the Amagi and the Gneisenau out. They do have 2 destroyers on that side. I'm just going to say that right now. Now that the first smoke screen right there is from the Edinburgh. Now Edinburgh's Royal Navy cruisers, that's alright, because Royal Navy cruisers, their smoke is usually utilized for themselves, just simply due to the fact that they only got 2 smoke screens or 2 puffs. While a destroyer, most destroyer players, from my experience, is that they usually smoke up for themselves. I've seen division mates, they usually have a division of destroyers and some battleships. One time, I was like half health in my battleship, and there was a friendly battleship next to me. He had like 80% to 100% health. His division mate decided to smoke up for him instead of me, and I was left outside the smoke and I died. So that kind of gives you an idea how really rare do you see these type of players who make the right decision. Because the question is, do you rather smoke up for yourself or smoke up for somebody who don't need it, just for them or for themselves, or would you rather smoke up for someone who really needs it that will help you win the game? And after that Coin Commander has smoked to me, I have much more confidence into pushing to the capture zone. Why? Because I understand that if he wants me to do something, he's going to smoke up for me, and I'm going to help him to take out those cruisers or any destroyer that wishes to push me. Now keep in mind, the Missouri also has a very nice feature which I should have used at this moment, but I didn't. The Missouri comes with a Baltimore radar. It kind of shoots out all the way to 9.5 kilometers of radar, which pretty much, the idea on the Missouri when it comes to radar isn't necessarily to kill destroyers. That's the thing that a lot of people get the misconception. They think that the Missouri is a ship that is able to kill a destroyer. That is absolutely not true. The radar is mainly used to let the ships around you who are within the range. And if anyone has a clue they ever faced in Missouri, that she has radar at her disposal. If you stay in the smoke too long and you're within the range of the Missouri, she will pop that radar and you're going to pop out of the middle of nowhere. And if you have teammates behind you to support fire, then that destroyer will be pretty much screwed, or at least take a lot of damage. Now, one-on-one, the radar isn't that useful. It will just let you know that, you gotta tell the destroyer to get out of smoke. The most you can do with radar is send 2 salvos. Fire the first salvo right at the moment when you pop the radar, and the second salvo when the radar is about to end. That isn't really enough to kill a destroyer. If you're playing like a cruiser with radar, it will kill a destroyer. Now, this Edinburgh is going to pop out of smoke. She's going to try to drop torpedoes on me, so I noticed that. So I'm going to take some evasive maneuver, and Coin Commander coming in like an MVP is going to help me. At this moment, this exact moment, I should have been dead if no destroyer had smoke up for me. Now, keep in mind, there's 2 destroyers here. Coin Commander is the only one who actually smokes up for me. Now, the enemy team, the Amagi, you notice that Amagi, he's still there. He's still somewhat broadside. I've been firing a couple salvos at him. And if you notice onto the C flag, there's a huge smoke screen. Now, I can tell you right now, that isn't a Edinburgh smoke screen. That's actually either a Fletcher or the Akizuki. For whatever reason, the Fletcher and Akizuki, one of those 2 destroyers who ever spoke, decided to smoke the C cap, even though there's really isn't anyone focusing that side of the map. Probably because they want to send a smoke and, fire with their guns without being seen. But honestly, if they actually used it for the Amagi, maybe the Amagi would have gotten out of that position faster. Now, this good night now is following the #1 rule, is to stay in the way back, don't get too close to the capture zone. And he's doing a perfect job, absolutely perfect, 10 out of 10. He is sitting near the edge of the map onto the I and 2 coordinates here. So he's doing a good job for not presenting his presence. Now, the great thing about Battleship, it is true that battleships that push up doesn't always mean that they're going to have the advantage over the enemy team. But the presence of a battleship at the front lines really does make a difference, because #1, if a cruiser is near the battleship at the front lines, most people tend to have the tendency to shoot at the battleship because it's the easiest target to farm damage off of. At the same time, I'm kind of special with my radar, so the destroyers have much more confidence with me with my radar. Like I said, radar, my guns are the thing that keep the enemy ships away from the capture zone and also away from my destroyers, because I want to keep my destroyers alive. And at the same time, Coin Commander, just 1 destroyer, 1 simple press of a button is keeping this situation in our control. And that is what I always look for. You see, a lot of people think that in order to win the game, it's all about, just being raw, pure power of being a good player. I personally prefer to win a game by just pressing the simple smoke screen button, or at least pressing the radar, or at least just parking my ship near a zone where people don't want to get near me because I have big guns. And that's how I feel like that's what really wins the game. It's all about the strategy, which people overlook. And at the same time, you might have strategy, but like I said, rarely do you see people apply these strategies. They have these tools at their disposal. So this good night now. It's going to show me a broadside. I'm going to fire at the good night now here. I don't think that will kill the good night now at all. Those German armors have very tough armor to actually do a lot of damage, unless they show a broadside, of course, like any other ship. I normally aim at the upper build when it comes to shooting at German battleships, because the upper build tend to have very thin armor, and that's where you do most of your damage. There's really no point trying to citadel a German battleship unless you're at least 15 kilometers away running 406mm guns at that caliber. Or possibly 380. I think I'd citadel a German battleship with the Warspite. So we took out the Gneisenau now. Gneisenau might follow rule #1 for the battleships to stay outside of the capture zone, but he failed to understand his positioning was way out of position. Basically, he was being focused fire. That's another thing. Notice that the enemy team formation, they're not really together. They're doing their own thing. Well, the destroyer is with me and the Amagi behind me are grouped up. As a result, we can focus fire one particular ship. Now this Amagi is going to give me a lot of problems. If you didn't know, although the Amagi is a battle cruiser, a lot of people will think the Amagi has very thin armor. She actually has way better armor than a Nagato. although the Nagato is categorized as a dreadnought battleship. The reason why is that for whatever reason, the Amagi doesn't have that much armor inside the ship, but it has sufficient amount of armor on the exterior of the ship that is able to balance these 406mm guns. And another thing I want to point out is that the Amagi, the stern of the ship is much stronger than the bow of the ship when it comes to the armor. So the Amagi is stronger when she is sailing away from her targets rather than sailing into her target. North Carolina is like the opposite of the Amagi. I usually like to compare the Amagi and North Carolina because the Amagi is like the North Carolina, but with most of her armor in the stern, while North Carolina has most of her armor at the bow. If you ever fire at a angle North Carolina or angle Missouri or Iowa, so the Amagi is going to show some broadside. I'm going to try to fire into her deck. I'm not trying to shoot for the... So your best chance to doing damage is trying to shoot for the upper belt, like what I did to the Gnaz now, and get some plunging fire with these guns. Indianapolis has popped open out of the horizon. I noticed that she is just shooting at me because I'm the closest battleship to her. So I'm going to send some shells downrange. Hopefully I can do some damage. Now, Coin Commander calls out that there's somebody in the middle alley or the waterway. I used my radar at that moment because I thought that it might be a destroyer, but it turns out the enemy destroyer is on the other end of the map. So I just used radar just to check. That's one great thing about the Missouri is that you can use the radar to check if things are around the corner. You're not sure if there's a destroyer, there might be a cruiser, somebody waiting, you just don't know, or get a position of the enemy team for a split second. It's very useful on maps that have a lot of islands, of course. But overall, I usually use radar not just to spot smoke, but sometimes I use it just for the sake of the ship. Now, the Missouri has 12.2 kilometers of concealment, so having 9.5 kilometers of radar kind of gives me a really good idea of if someone spots me, and they've been spotting me too long, then I could just use the radar and it might give me an idea where they're at if they're within the range of the radar. If they're not within the range, then chances are they're just trying to trail me or they're sailing ahead of me, they're not using their guns, for whatever the case it is. So Magi is going to get taken out, and then the Indianapolis is gonna appear around this island. Now I'm going to say this right now, after this Indianapolis appears around the island, that is pretty much game. I know it's really short, right? It's not something stellar, but the reason why this game is amazing, like I said, you rarely get the moment to use your battleship and push into the capture zone. At the same time, you rarely get moments where you have people who are generous enough or people who understand that if they do something for someone else, that will increase their chance of winning the game, number one. It also helps them, number two. And number three, it strongly encourages teamwork. United, we stand tall. Divided, we fall. That is something that a lot of games, a lot of military, a lot of discipline, if I put it this way, really focus on. If your team is arguing, or if your team is split up, if everyone is doing their own thing, that is the best way to lose the game. Because when people are together, when they're synergized, when they try to explain things, when they accept their mistakes, that is when the game gets really good. And I was able to push in. Like I said, you rarely see battleship capture flags. Even, although the Amagi and the Bismarck are behind me, they are way out in distance. They are definitely way out of distance. They're not really staying near the flag. So me and Coin Commander, us two, just these two ships, it only takes two ships that work together can make the biggest difference in the game. And this was a close game. This was a neck and neck game, but we were able to push this side of the map because we were able to stay together, force the enemy out. The enemy team was way out of position. They weren't working together. The destroyers weren't giving smoke for the Amagi or the Gnaz. Gnaz was out of position. Destroyers spoke up for themselves. They're doing their own thing. Edinburgh, I guess Edinburgh wasn't really that much of a big problem to me because Edinburgh, she's just doing what Royal Navy cruisers do. They sit and smoke and try to do damage while the ships are pushing against her. So she kind of had to force herself out. Although she shouldn't really show a broadside against me at that one split moment. So yes, I end the game with 130,000 damage. Sorry to disappoint you that I didn't do 200,000 damage, 300,000 damage. But the point is, my biggest point, This is the World of Warship that I'm looking for. This is what is fun. Not having full health, sitting at the back of the map, shooting guns from a battleship perspective. Destroyer perspective. Not just using the smoke for yourself and not care about others and just complain in the chat while your battleships are sitting in the back of the map. There's a reason why battleship people sit in the back of the map is because they lost trust with destroyers. Cruisers, help your destroyers. For the sake of the destroyers are very important. And aircraft carrier players, well, actually aircraft carrier players are already on the endangered list, so there's not many aircraft carriers out there. But if you ever see an aircraft carrier player or you play aircraft carrier player, help scout, help do damage, focus targets that you need to sink, because there's targets that you want to sink that are better off, but there are targets that you should sink to help your teammates out. For instance, if you try to sink a battleship at the back of the map rather than the battleship at the front lines, that means that you're just doing damage for your own self. You just want damage rather than trying to kill the battleship at the front line so your teammate can push into the zone. So I was able to get 4.2k of XP, 453,000 of credits, and 2.1k XP, base XP. Now you might be asking, how did I get so much XP even though I only did 130,000 damage? Because 2k XP, you must at least do like 180k damage, I think, on a tier 9 battleship just to get 2k. The answer is simple. If you didn't know, battleships get a lot of XP when capturing flags. If you capture 2 flags and do 100k damage, you easily get almost 2k. If I captured 3 flags, I probably would have came out 2.3k XP in this game, base XP. If I captured 4 flag, which I did one time with the Missouri because she's such a fast ship, I almost got 3k, I think, almost 3k, and I had 100k damage. It was a really good game. So this game was great. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time on World of Warships.